and I just wanted to share with you a few tips about saving space when you're building Docker containers or Docker images on which you're going to make containers. Let's have a look at a very simple Docker file here. In this case, I'm starting with Alpine Linux, which is nice and small and gives me most of the facilities I want, but almost everything I say here would apply in just the same way if you were using Ubuntu or Debian or some sort of Red Hat based system. The package manager I'm using here is APK, but it would also apply to something like Yum or apt-get. So what I'm doing here is, in preparation for my, in this case, Python-based app, I'm installing various standard packages that I like here, including Python and pip, and some things like vim and htop, which I like to be able to use. So here's a very simple Docker file. Let's build a Docker container from this. So I'll just get into the right directory and do Docker build. I'll give it a tag demo1, and I'm just going to build here, and since I've done this before, it's all in the cache and it's all very fast. Okay, let's have a look at Docker images. Whoa, I've got lots of them. Okay, let's look at the first few Docker images. There, and what we can see is demo1, which I actually built a little while ago, there is 77 megabytes. Okay, now that's actually a remarkably good size, and that's because it's Alpine Linux. It would be a couple of hundred, I think, if I were using Ubuntu or something. However, suppose I want to see if I can make that a bit smaller in any way. One of the things you get with most package managers is a local cache of the downloaded packages, and you can save space on your disk by deleting that cache after you're done. So in the case of APK, it's var cache APK star. You can remove those if you're not doing any more APK operations, or you're not worried about the speed of any more APK operations afterwards, and that saves space on your disk. So if I do this, I should end up with a smaller Docker file. Let's build this again. Docker build in this location. There you go. We can now see that APK file is there. And let's do my Docker images head again, and we now have demo1, and oh, it's exactly the same size, hasn't changed at all. Now, I wouldn't expect the change to be large in this case, but it's interesting. Why does it not change? Well, the reason for that is that when you're building an image for a container like this, what you're actually doing is creating several layers. You probably know this, but the file system that's used behind Docker images is layered. So what actually happens when you're constructing it from a Docker file is it runs this command, it does a kind of snapshot, and that's the first layer of the file system. It then runs the next command, which is this one in this case, does another snapshot, that's the next layer of the file system, and so on. And that makes it nice and fast, because it means if you just add one line down here, maybe I want to copy my requirements.txt into /temp/requirements.txt on the in the container. That's something I'm going to want to do. Let's run this again. And you'll see that basically this uses the cache for this instruction, it uses the cache for this instruction. It's basically the container images that we built before, and the only thing that changes and actually requires us to do anything is that little copy. And so we now have a new our new final container is that. So each of these instructions essentially, if they don't change, then in the Docker file, then you don't. It can use a cached image of them. So that's handy. Let's just check for future references. Let's just check. So yes, 77.04 is still the size of our demo1. Now, the problem is that each of these lines then adds things to the previous image, and even though the underlying disk space required may go down, because there's no way to kind of remove stuff from the image, from the previous layer of file system that was generated here, actually removing stuff doesn't make things any smaller. And so this, may end up with a tidier image when you actually log into it or when you're using it as in the final container, but it doesn't change the size of your container file on disk, and it doesn't save you time if, say, you're uploading this container to a Docker repository. So the way to deal with this is to make sure that the thing that does the tidying up is part of the single instruction that uses up the space in the first place. And so you may already have seen things like this, where you take that and we run this command, and then we run this command, and we do it as all as part of that one command line, that one run command. It's a single command from the Docker file's point of view. And what that means is it's not until after this tidying up has happened that the thing gets snapshotted to disk, and so we should get a slightly reduced size now if I run this. There you go. And you can see that whole command has changed, so it's going back and installing everything. But now it does the tidying up, and then it does the snapshotting to disk. And so if we now do docker images -head, you can see it's gone down from 77.04, which was our previous one, to 76. Not a big change in this case. Okay, but we have saved space on disk and time in uploads and so on, simply by moving the tidying up command onto the same line as the command which used up the space in the first place. Okay, now that was a very slight improvement, but sometimes it can be more dramatic. So let me show you my requirements.txt here. So this is a whole load of Python modules that I want to include for my final app, and when I include those, the pip command actually needs to build some of those with the compiler, and so if you just try running pip install -r requirements.txt, you find that you can't unless you've actually got a whole load of GCC and other related utilities installed in the container. So what I ended up doing was adding in all of those things. So let me put this in here. And let's be good and do the same thing here. Tidy them up afterwards. And then I can do my pip install command, which I'm actually not going to bother with for the moment. You'll just have to take it from me that it works. Okay, so here are a whole load of extra things I need, like build base, which includes all sorts of utilities and various headers and other development libraries and so on, so that I can compile the stuff I need when I come to do the install. Right, let's build that. Okay, and now if I look at my images, we see, whoa, my demo one has gone up to 484 megabytes. Now I'm lucky, I have a fast internet connection, but if I were to upload that too often to my registry, it would start to take rather a long time. And we're not done yet, because of course the thing I want to do next is run pip install -r/dump/requirements.txt. So that says all of the Python packages in requirements.txt I also want to install in here, and I think that may make it even bigger. Okay, the first bit's nice and fast because we've got all these, so here we go, a little bit more. But at least I can now, and some of this may take a while, I can now actually run this because I have all of the compilation tools needed. There you go. And now we'll find that my Docker image has gone now over 0.5 gigabyte. And I'd really like to get that down. Now the important thing to note here is that after I've done this pip install, I don't actually need all of these, I don't need a compiler on this container, I don't need a lot of these headers, I just need to be able to create the Python packages in the first place, and then in fact all of this can go away. And again, here the important thing is that, so we could do an apk delete all of these, certainly the big ones. Put this in here. So if I get rid of those two, for example, that saves a great deal of space, but we have the same issue as we had before, that this reduces the amount of space actually required on disk, but not the amount of space required for the container. And so once again, the way to do this is to extend this so this is a single line in the Docker file. So we install all the things we need, we tidy up the cache, we do a pip install of the Python packages, and then we delete the packages we no longer need, having successfully installed our Python packages. And if we run that now, and when we've finally completed, we should now find that our image has gone from over half a gigabyte back down to 175 megabytes. So we've got everything we need to run our thing, including some specially compiled packages, and we're still noticeably less than a basic installation of, say, Ubuntu. One last tip I will give you, because this struck me recently, is what you often have in your Docker file is something like, copy the whole of this directory into where my app's going to live in the container, something like that. This is a fairly standard thing to do. And one thing to note is that if, like me, you use Git a lot, you may have a substantial Git repository behind the scenes, especially if it's an app that's been around for some time. And this copy will copy hidden dot directories like .git as part of the copy command. So there's a useful file called docker ignore into which you may want to put things like .git, and that can also sometimes make a substantial difference. Similarly, anything really in this demo directory that you don't want to include in the Docker container, and those things will then be ignored by commands like copy, and it's very similar to a .git ignore file if you're familiar with those. So I hope some of you find that useful.